Sponsors: Allstate Sugar Bowl, Entergy New Orleans, Raising Cane's, Align Ed New Orleans, Agenda for Children, and Oshner Children's for their commitment and support. Teachers and school leaders, enjoy the summer break. This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Outrage in Michigan after a judge dismissed charges against ex-state police sergeant Brian Keeley, who fatally struck a black man, Samuel Sterling, with an unmarked SUV. The family is heartbroken.
With us now knowing that justice for my cousin Samuel has now been denied, again, we're angry.
The judge ruled Keeley was immune under the Supremacy Clause as he was acting as a federal officer. The skulls of 19 black Americans sent to Germany for racist research over 150 years ago have been returned to the U.S. They'll be honored Saturday at Dillard University in New Orleans, where leaders say the ceremony will confront a dark chapter in science. And a homeless black teenager who lived in his car has graduated high school with full honors. Max Jones of Richmond, Virginia, overcame homelessness to graduate and secure multiple full-ride scholarships. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Good Morning Show. I'm your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. Shout out to our General Manager, Justin Lewis, for holding us down in the absence of our super producer, Nyron Sanders. And also shout out to my co-pilot this morning, the Will Sutton. Hey, Will.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, New Orleans.
Dynamic show lined up at the 7:20 hour. We're going to talk to our partners from DePaul Community Health Center, talking about this phenomenal event, Date with Dad, Strong Family, Strong Cities, which is happening Saturday, June the 7th. Registration starts at 9 a.m., There's a panel discussion happening thereafter. It's an exciting event. I'm excited to talk to them to see if we can still sign up, or are the women even allowed? Maybe that's the question. I don't know. And at the 8:20 mark, we're going to hear from Dr. Bayham from Dillard University. She's the chair of the committee for the 19. I know Will is very excited about this conversation. But in between all of those things, you know what we going to do? It's talk radio, so we going to talk about it. So happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to the Good Morning Show. Shout out to our folk listening from out there in that parish. Hey, Derek and the crew. We love all of our listeners. I appreciate all of y'all that engage with us in the chat. And if you want to join the conversation today, the number is 504-582-9422. There's so much to talk about this morning, but we want to pick up with a continuation of the conversation we had with Dan. We didn't get an opportunity to get him back on the phone yesterday, but Dan, if you're listening, you know the number, 504-582-9422, because I have since had a conversation with the Honorable Darren Lombard, who refuted a lot of the claims made by Dan in his call to us on yesterday, namely how the process went. We were informed that Dan was present for the entire duration of the process. He was able to see the count. He was able to see the recount, and there's just a lot of discrepancy between what Dan is saying and what the clerk is saying. So hopefully, even the Honorable Darren Lombard, if you're listening, the number is 504-582-9422. Maybe we can get you on the line and kind of just clear up some of the misconceptions or the confusion, just to provide some clarity about what is going on as it relates to the millage. Because where does it stand right now, Will? They did the recount, but the recount is being challenged.
Well, right. So with his challenge, they're looking at what this means, because this doesn't happen very often.
Yeah. That
there are multiple challenges. So in this case, a challenge to the final tally, prompting a recount, and then there was a secondary recount the next morning. And so now we have this one. So I'm pretty sure, and would love to hear from Darren Lombard, about the next step, because I think we're in uncharted territory for what this actually means. But meanwhile, the bigger picture, as I understand it, is that we'll continue operating with the sheriff's office budget as it's already previously been approved under the 10-year millage that already exists and doesn't expire until 2026. So meanwhile, they'll do some forecast planning, looking ahead, based on this 10-year millage having been approved by the voters. Yes, by a small margin, but approved by the voters. And this will play itself out in court. So one of the things that's likely to happen is a judge will look at it and say, this has no merit, you have no standing, or this definitely has merit, and schedule something on the docket.
Yeah, and so I mean, I think it's I'm looking at a larger, more robust picture, because earlier in some earlier shows we've done as it relates to who can run for office, what are the procedures to run for office, because we do know that there are people living outside of their district running for district seats. We know there are people living outside of the state that run for state seats, and they win these seats, and they're sitting in seats illegally. So the way that I see this thing playing out is who can challenge the results of an election. We were told that he had to be a registered voter, he had to have an address, and all of these things, which are the same criteria by and large for folks seeking office. So I'm watching this case because he told us he lives in a car in his last call. Did he not?
That's his most recent, I can't call it quite a residence, but place where he's sleeping at least.
But even prior to that, the address that he proclaimed to reside at, there's some discrepancy around that. So I feel like this kind of incident here can be a symptom of a much larger issue that we've also been trying to talk about in detail with these folk not being held to the document that they're signing. Because when you sign a document, you have to raise your hand and attest that what you put on the paper is true and accurate to the best of your ability, but there's nobody checking it. I don't like the system as it stands, where regular everyday folk have to spend money and resources to challenge something that I feel like the structure or the system should ensure is true, or hold people to account if it's not true. Why is it incumbent upon me to challenge somebody in my race for a seat that I'm seeking? If I live in my district, I vote, and I'm doing all of the things I'm supposed to do, but somebody could live in Colorado and hold a Louisiana seat, and nobody's checking it. And then the noise is out there, but nobody's doing the work. It's on the regular citizen or the person who's also running for the seat to figure out how to challenge it, which adds an additional burden of finances on that person. When I think the system, are y'all the ones taking the money? Right. Why you can't ensure that what they're filling out is true and accurate?
And oftentimes the way some of these things come up is somebody who is a competitor, a contender, a challenger, already knows this information.
Yes.
And brings it up. And they're paying for it, meanwhile.
Absolutely. Well, that's the part I'm talking about.
Yeah, right. So
even for school board seats, there are people in districts for school board races historically, right? Because we've had an issue with this prior to this current board. But there are people who don't live in a district that they're representing. That is not legal. But it's allowed to happen, and people turn a blind eye to it. People who are sitting on the board knowingly turn a blind eye to knowing that their counterparts are not representing the actual district that they're representing by way of residency.
Well, that's the thing, because they're representing them by election.
By way of residency,
but
which
certainly
is
not
a hallmark to the protocol.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at this case because if you could somehow, discard this person or to say it's not a valid argument because you don't even live according to the paper that you filled out where you say you live, or maybe you're not even a registered voter. Like, all of these things matter when you are filing a challenge to an election, just as they should matter when you are actually putting yourself up for service for a seat. The document says you should live in the area that you're trying to serve, which is why folk like me can't hold an Orleans Parish seat. I live in Jefferson Parish.
Right.
But ain't nobody else following the rules right here. Maybe I need to run for Orleans Parish and see how quick these rules get enforced. You know what I mean?
Well, there are a
Like,
few people running for sheriff. You got
I'm
any?
just saying, I have no interest. I have no interest in joining no sheriff's race. But what I'm saying
But
is,
your point is,
you
I
understand
mean,
what I'm
that's
saying?
right. Yeah,
If I fill out a paper right now talking about I want to run for Orleans Parish, they have a Million Man March down there at the clerk office saying she don't live in New Orleans. Here is where she really lives. But when certain people do it, the whole city know about it, and so nobody say nothing.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
I know somebody held a seat for 12 years and didn't live in the state of Louisiana. Right? 3 whole terms. And didn't live in the state of Louisiana, let alone the parish of Orleans. Like, so we gotta really, I really want to see how this case has implications for other political processes.
Yeah,
So that's
of
what
course.
I'm interested in. But again, we had a conversation with him. He is saying he's making the accusation that somehow 2 no votes turned into 2 yes votes, which is how they came out with the number that they came out with to certify the passing of the millage for the second time. He's now challenging that. So we're standing in the challenge bubble of it right now. So hopefully we'll hear from Dan or the Honorable Darren Lombard at some point today. But as a follow-up to the story we talked about yesterday with Sheriff Susan Hudson requesting or asking for District Attorney Jason Williams to recuse himself from the investigation, Jason said, what did he say, uno reverse? Because I already did that.
I already did that. I've been working with Attorney General Liz Murrow. We've been working
with her,
closely on the investigation. These were separate investigations because the sheriff was doing her internal investigation. The AG was doing her investigation into the jailbreak, and then it expanded to criminal justice system to see what's going on and why some of these people in there who shouldn't be in there. And then there's the investigation by the DA and under the authority of the Orleans Parish District Attorney's Office. And so Sheriff Hudson said, you have a conflict. You're supporting a candidate for sheriff who is not me. And that is a conflict, and so you should not be involved in investigating this matter. Jason Williams, the district attorney, followed up immediately and said, not so fast. This is already dealt with. I communicated to Liz Murrow last week.
Well, it says May 27th.
Right. Well, he said he communicated last week and then sent a letter on the same day of the motion that sheriff filed to see that he recuses himself. So he says he's already reviewed that, and he does have a practical conflict, and so therefore he handing off to Liz Murrow.
Well, here we go again talking about timelines, because that's not what the article says. The article says the district attorney's office provided Fox 8, this is Fox 8, the May 27th letter. Today is the 30th. Right? The May 27th letter where he requested Murrow take over the investigation. It says Murrow's office was already running an investigation into the escape. The letter read in part, unfortunately, but unavoidably, my office's necessary day-to-day interactions with the OPSO could impose a practical conflict with regards to spearheading a direct investigation of the sheriff, her staff, and her organization in this matter. I want to be very, very clear. The Attorney General's office was already in the process of investigating it with the district attorney's office. The request from the sheriff was saying that he needs to be separate and apart from it altogether. Is that correct? Because he has a conflict, right? So that's what she was asking. So we knew that the Attorney General was involved in the investigation, but now she's spearheading it, because at first the district attorney was involved and she came in to, I guess, co-investigate the issue, if I'm reading this correctly. But now she's the lone investigator because he's now stepped aside as per Fox 8 as of a May 27th letter.
Right. But the DA said that he verbally talked with the AG on May 23rd. I said 21st, but it was May 23rd, which is several days before the letter, to let her know that it was going to be best that he step aside from his investigation. So let's be clear about where the AG stands on the internal investigation by the sheriff, on what the DA has been doing, what the NOPD has been doing, Louisiana State Police have been doing. Her point from the start is, I'm investigating this. I am. Me, the AG, I'm investigating all of this. And so you have the Sheriff Hudson suggesting that she take it all over. You have the DA who says he's been having an investigation, but he's stepping aside. But Liz Murrow has said from the beginning, this is my investigation.
Well, I don't, you know, I have nothing to say there. I just felt like, not saying that she's a better investigator, not saying that, you know, it will be something that can be without any sort of built-in biases or anything like that. I don't know what her investigation is gonna provide for us. What I was saying was the optics of the DA's office being involved was something that wasn't necessary. Like, you don't even need the optics of it. It looks political already, so we don't need to add any additional politics to it. Just step aside so that the outcome has nothing to do with your office, and then the sheriff won't be able to say the outcome of the investigation was predicated on the fact that you have a challenger to my seat, which is why you came up with what you're coming up with, right? So there we have that. Dan is calling us calling us back.
All right.
And I want to make certain that I say this again. If anyone is connected to the clerk's office, the Honorable Darren Lombard, the number is 504-582-9422. Good morning, Dan. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. Turn him up. I can't hear him. Dan?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, welcome back to the show. So we spoke with you on yesterday, and I wanted to get you back on the phone so that we could clarify some things. We also have since spoken to Darren Lombard, who has refuted some of the things that you have said. Were you present for this recount?
Yes, I was present during the recount.
And so what about the processes that you saw that you're saying don't align with the outcome that they're telling you about, that they're sharing with us?
Okay, so specifically what I'm addressing is the fact that 2 ballots went missing. Well, first, they had it at a tie. They were missing 2 yes ballots. They go looking for the 2 yes ballots. They find it. It ends up that it wins by 4. They close it out. But then they certify the election where it's a win by 4.
Well, Dan, wait 1 second, Dan. I want you to be clear, Dan. You said it was a tie, and they went and found 2 yes votes, but they certified it by 4. If it was a tie and they found 2, how did we get to 4?
Because the 2 yeses that they found were in the no stack that they had gone through 3 times.
Are you following this?
So there was a during the recount, and I'm going to say the first recount. Okay.
Yeah.
So during the recount, if I understand what you're saying correctly, based on what you're saying, is that the first recount after your challenge, the first recount, because they do this multiple times, ended up in a tie vote. Is that correct on the first recount?
On the first, well, yes. After the first time they counted all the ballots, after they had been separated out, it ended in a tie.
Okay. And so you're saying when they did a second count, they had a 4-vote margin or a 2-vote margin?
It was a 4-vote margin. After they checked through all the stacks again, they found 2 yeses in a no stack. So they went ahead and saw it where it was 4.
I'm still not understanding how we jumped from tie to 4.
Okay. And so there was an additional count, a third count. And
Well, then there wasn't a third count. Then they said, okay, that verifies the election, and then they closed it out.
that's right. That's right. Okay, but you're talking about the first count of the votes, correct?
Right. They spent about 2 hours separating all of the yes ballots and the no ballots into two different piles.
Yes, but the misplaced votes weren't discovered until after the tally was made official, and that accounted for the count the next day, correct?
That accounted for the count the next day, confirming the original one, which is the main problem of this. Because if all of the ballots were returned to the containers, and by law, these containers are supposed to be inviolate. They are not supposed to be touched. They are not supposed to be gone through. They're not supposed to be entered into or double checked in any way. The certification is supposed to be the certification. Those ballots were never to leave the room. They were only to exit the container, to be recounted, put back in the container. The fact that they had found two ballots after the election was certified is a violation of the chain of custody, because all the ballots were supposed to have been put back into those containers.
And your intent with this challenge is what? What do you want to see happen?
At that, okay. So there are various things that I'd like to see happen, but at least a recount, if not a full new election, because the chain of custody was violated.
Okay, so based on your view and your challenge, you're saying the chain of custody was violated, that there should be recognition that that was violated, therefore making the narrow margin win invalid, correct?
Correct.
Right.
Well,
and then if that's invalid, then there would be no other millage renewal election, or there would be one to be scheduled, and voters would have to decide yea or nay. Is that right?
Yes, the judge would order, if the judge so chose to.
Okay.
The honorable judge.
All right.
It would be the Honorable Nicole Shepard. If
Okay.
the judge so chose to do so, she could order a new election.
Okay.
All right. Well, Dan, I appreciate you. And hopefully we get to talk to someone from the clerk's office, maybe the Honorable Darren Lombard. And if we do, we're going to keep talking about it. So I hope you keep listening. We appreciate you calling in. Thank you so much.
All right. Get some
Thank
rest.
you, ma'am. Please.
Have a good day.
Listen, I'm still not clear, which is why I just don't even want to do that to my brain. But what I do want to give a shout out to is Chicken's Kitchen over in Gretna. Chicken's Kitchen is feeding children for free all summer long at the Chicken Coop.
Summer.
Kids ages 2 to 15 can get one baby back breakfast or Lil Nugget lunch every day, Monday through Friday, for the entire summer. That means you can feed your babies 2 times a day for free. Every day, no requirement besides showing up with them. No purchase necessary. Find your way to us and we'll feed them. No questions asked. This excludes camps and daycares. He goes on to say some things about the government. You could go to his page and see that. But what I brought the story to the airways for is because these are the type of community things and village things that are happening that rarely ever, people ever really amplify. And I want to amplify it right here on WBOK. So shout out to the owner of Chicken's Kitchen. It's located in Gretna. They're feeding children all summer long. You can feed your children 2 meals a day, no questions asked, every day, Monday through Friday. And he's doing it and people are responding. So when he put this initiative out, folks started to donate to make certain that it can last the entire summer. So shout out to you if you donated, if you gave anything to help make this initiative continue. But it's happening all summer long over there at the Chicken Coop in Gretna. And I wanted to say that because we segue into this Date with Dad, Strong Family, Strong City event that is happening. And we're going to talk to them on the other side of the break. But what better way to segue into the importance of men in our community and men standing up for our kids in this community. So once again, shout out to Chicken's Kitchen over there, feeding children twice a day for free. No questions asked.
That's amazing.
2 to 15. That is absolutely
2
amazing.
to 15.
Ages 2 to 15, no purchase necessary. So the mama don't have to buy a meal so the kid can eat free. The kids can just come and eat free ages 2 to 15. So shout out to Chicken's Kitchen. Please go over there and patronize that business if you can. And I suggest you get there early because the line is always wrapped around the building. And that's one of those businesses whereby he's been complaining about police interference with the business, following his customers once they get food, because he is a black-owned business in a historically part of Gretna that is not, where businesses are not black-owned. So please go out and support Chicken's Kitchen. We have to go to break, but when we come back, we'll talk to our partners from the DePaul Community Health Center. Date with Dad right here, WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about.
All day long.
Good Friday morning. I'm Daryl Forges with WDSU News, and here's your headlines. We want to remind you there are 2 escapees still on the run this morning. The other 8 have been recaptured. 5 were arrested in New Orleans, 1 in Baton Rouge, and 2 in Texas. That means Antoine Massey and Derrick Groves remain at large. And now the reward for information leading to their arrests have increased to $50,000. If you have any tips on the escapees, Crime Stopper says you can report it through the Say It Here app on their website. They say their call center has been very busy, so if you call in a tip, you might be placed on hold. This comes as Linton Van Buren Jr., who was recaptured Monday night in Baton Rouge, went before a judge. His attorney says he wants to represent himself and says they agreed to reconvene later on to make a decision. She also told us she wants answers as to why he's been behind bars for more than 1,000 days and why his case isn't moving forward. Van Buren Jr. is currently at Angola without bond. He was originally serving time for parole violation, possession of a firearm by a felon, and illegal carrying of a weapon. Now, could there be yet another recount for the Orleans Parish area? Well, you may remember on election night that millage passed by just 2 votes. Then a recount was ordered and the margin doubled to 4 votes. Now those numbers are being challenged yet again. Danilo Feliciano has filed another petition to Civil District Court. He's the same person who asked for the initial recount. Feliciano claims there were multiple irregularities in the process. He names Sheriff Susan Hudson and Louisiana Secretary of State Nancy Landry in that suit. I'm Daryl Forges, and that's your headlines for WBOK. Have a great day.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat. Civil rights activists and supporters of DEI have seen big company after big company roll back or drop DEI in very public ways. But when you dig deeper into what's really happening in the corporate world, the picture might not be so bleak. In fact, according to Bloomberg Equality reporter Simone Foxman, a lot of companies actually haven't gotten rid of principles behind DEI at all.
Frankly, many of the programs that were part of diversity, equity, and inclusion, many of which had frankly been around since long before the acronym even existed, they're still there. They've had some tweaks, maybe, but companies still believe that these underlying programs, the ones that will help them recruit diverse talent, as well as keep employees happy, these are largely there.
With guidance from lawyers, a lot of brands have found ways to keep practices they like while dropping words that for some have become unpopular. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
Now more than ever, Lowe's knows you don't just want a low price, you want the lowest price. And with our lowest price guarantee, you can count on us for competitive prices on all your home improvement projects. If you find a qualifying lower price somewhere else on the same item, we'll match it. Lowe's, we help, you save. Price match applies the same item. Current price at qualifying retailers. Exclusions and terms apply. Learn how we'll match price at lowes.com/lowest price guarantee.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe, all great writers. And after reading your book, I simply must add you to the list.
Wait, you don't have a book yet. So make a free call to Page Publishing. Turn your book idea into publishing gold.
800-215-6818. 800-215-6818. That's 800-215-6818.
This is Monica Pierre along with Sally Ann Roberts Daybone, co-host of Your Power is On.
Tune in Sunday mornings from 7 to 8 a.m. for music that feeds the spirit. Get your Sunday on.
Right here on WBOK 1230 a.m. and WBOK1230.com, the station you listen to all day long.
Connect with NOLA Public Schools. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and X for the latest updates Sign up for District Digest, our official newsletter where we share district achievements, celebrate student successes, and keep you informed about our vision of providing a high-quality education. And don't miss our school board meetings. Watch in person or live stream on YouTube. Stay informed, stay engaged. Visit nolapublicschools.com today. Again, that's nolapublicschools.com.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation is the nonprofit organization that owns the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival presented by Shell. With the funds generated from Jazz Fest, the foundation invests in Louisiana communities through economic development, cultural enrichment, and free educational programs. To learn more about the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation, please visit us at www.jazzandheritage.org.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Everyone, welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. My co-pilot this morning is the Will Sutton. Hey, Will.
Good morning, New Orleans.
And listen, I want to give a little update about the Chicken's Kitchen conversation we were having prior to the break. The address is 629 Durbin Street, Gretna, Louisiana, 70053. The number is 504-244-2536. So if you want to patronize the business, help him in his initiative to feed our youth all summer long, ages 2 to 15, you could pass over there at 629 Durbin Street in Gretna, or you can call 504-244-2536 to ask him how you could be of service. So once again, shout out to Chicken's Kitchen. He has made the pledge and made the action steps to feed children all summer, ages 2 to 15, absolutely free. Shout out to him. Right now in studio, though, we're getting ready to talk to Dr. Griffin from DePaul Community Health Center about their second annual Date with Dad, Strong Family, Strong City, which is happening Saturday, June 7th. Registration is at 9. Opening is at 10 with the panel discussion as well. So good morning, Dr. Griffin. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
How you doing?
I'm doing well, doing well.
You doing well?
Yeah, doing well. All things considered, you know. There's a lot happening right now. As you all know, I got to do this shout out to some advocacy things that we need to talk about a little bit, but in healthcare, right?
Yes.
And so, you know,
a whole lot.
We're on the ground. DePaul Community Health Center is it's a fairly sizable organization, one of the largest health centers in the state of Louisiana, 50,000 patients, 11 locations. Actually, we have 2 sites in Arkansas.
Right.
You know, we treat almost 65% of our patients are on Medicaid. And you hear a lot about Medicaid these days.
Yeah, and that big ugly bill.
It's nasty, isn't it? But yes, there's a lot of conversations that are happening. I was in Baton Rouge earlier this week advocating to kill the anti-fluoride bill in water. That was done yesterday. That we're happy to say that bill died. And so there's a lot of moving pieces, a lot of changes that are happening. It will affect us long term. So lots to do. And in my role as CEO of DePaul, I work with all of the patients we have in the community. We do medical, behavioral health. We have dental services. We have pharmacy services. So we do a lot of things in treating our patients. And roughly, I would say 30%, a third of our patients are males and adult males. And so therefore, we lean in on working with our dads as well. We know moms are, when it comes to healthcare, kind of that head of the household when it comes to bringing the kids to the doctor and everything else. But we do want our dads to understand that their health is very vital and important, and we want them to come out and see the doctors just as well.
So you mentioned that about 65% of your patients are on Medicaid. How do we ensure that these families and these individuals continue to be covered if we are dismantling or defunding, taking away Medicaid?
Yeah, so focusing on, first of all, understanding what's out there, what's coming, what these bills will look like. So we don't have the end story of what's going to be leaned in on. What's being talked about right now is the work requirement for Medicaid is what's being leaned in on and focused on, which is directly targeting males. I mean, that's what's going. So there's going to be some carve-outs for females who may have kids, and some of course, pediatrics is going to be covered, continue to be covered for kids, but it's going to be directly targeting towards males. So males that may not have a job or work or what have you. One of the things we do, we have what we call insurance navigators. We have individuals who are trained and certified to help people either enroll in Medicaid. Or get on the Affordable Care Act plans. And so we will continue to work with those individuals that may be de-enrolled to get on those plans. Yes.
Do you find, since Obamacare has been out there for a bit, do you find that there are people who have still not used the program?
Oh yeah, there's still millions of people who have not gotten on the program,
and they're eligible.
And they're eligible, but I will say. They used to call those the invincible or the younger people who are, don't have a pain, no ache, they're young. Yeah. They're going out, they're working out every day. They're not gonna buy that insurance. So we do know those are going to be out there. There's just some who aren't going to go out and buy the insurance and so there are some policies that are really skinny or cheap that or kind of catastrophic care or something happened to you, accident, whatever, you go to the emergency room. There's some of those options for individuals as well. But yeah, it's not for everyone at their stage and station in life at the time. But yeah, there's some that's just not going to go and get it.
So the event is taking place at the Grand Ballroom at Xavier University of Louisiana, 3rd floor, 1 Drexel Drive. And it is happening Saturday, June 7th. Can you talk to us? Because I know there will be some panel discussions about the topics that will be addressed during the discussion.
A date with Dad. Yeah, so this is our second year, as you know, having this event. We're going to be talking about financial literacy for dads, and we have a great panel. Actually, my CFO is going to be part of that, Anthony Gardner, and then some other individuals who have experience and background in finance and looking at how we should really lean in on our first thing, credit, our saving our dollars and cents and budgeting, all of those types of things. So that's one thing, understanding impact of education and career development. That is a passion of mine. I was telling someone earlier, I work a lot with universities here locally and other places, but and I'm on the board of Dillard University, so I went to Dillard, and so I'm always talking to kids. I always talk to kids about their development, thinking about that next step, where they're going, what they're going to do, and so especially African American males, we really need to lean in on mentoring and coaching and what have you, cultivating. So, but that education and that career development, and it doesn't have to be going to college. It could be some other pathway that they take, but really think about those next steps. And then fatherhood beyond biology. I mean, that's going to really be thinking through, some of the mental health aspects of what males and African American males and dads are dealing with today. So we're going to have some counselors that will talk to individuals, and therapists and others will address the group. So it's going to be a great time. It's going to be it's going to be an open dialogue. It's going to be there are going to be some speeches made, but it's going to be plenty of time for our dads to ask questions, engage, and then I assume there'll be some follow-up individually after this. But that's what we want to happen. We want people to feel comfortable when they come to this and really talk to our dads.
But they're also talking about paternal mental health, defining fatherhood, career development, and the impact of education on parenthood. Right. So, I think that mental health piece, especially with all of these governmental cuts and rollbacks and things of that nature that's going on, it puts a particular weight and strain on a family that is already weighted down and has strain on it. So I think that piece is important in defining fatherhood. That's also important, and what that should look like. So are these going to be different panel discussions, or are there just going to be experts in those topics all on one panel?
No, not all on one panel. There'll be different panel discussions
panels?
throughout the day.
Okay.
And yes, you can come and go to one and not the other, but hopefully folks stay for all of them. But yes, there'll be different panel, different experts that will come in and discuss those areas. And you're right, the mental health aspect of what we are dealing with and what fathers and families are dealing with today. Is major. It's huge. It's a weight on so many. So that one I anticipate will be a huge discussion. And so we're happy to do this again. This is all focused on fathers being fathers. And it comes out of our program that we started on infant education, equity, and empowerment. And so that's one of the things that we want our fathers to really lean in on, how the role that they need to play in their household. And so mental health is a big part of that.
Quick question. I'm sorry. Well, I know you mentioned, but this is the $1 million question. What does this cost?
Oh, it's free.
Oh.
I
just wanted to make sure we understood.
Yeah,
free 99.
Yes.
Free is better than cheap. Shout out to OT.
All right.
There you go. It is free.
So I want to make sure that I understand this. So do you have to be a DePaul patient?
No.
To come?
No, you do not.
You don't?
You do not have to be a DePaul patient. You don't have to ever go to a DePaul location. No, this is going to be, it's not going to be at a DePaul location. It's going to be at Xavier University. Yeah. And so we want everyone that has the time and available to come to this. So, no, you do not have to be a DePaul patient.
And what about moms? Knowing that it's dad-focused, can a mom come and, just for instance, bring her 16-year-old son because she wants him to start thinking about fatherhood and what it means?
Yes, it's open to everyone. So, yes, moms can come too, because they play a very important role.
I wish I could hold this bell down.
In dad's life, okay?
Be a long bell.
Yes. So they may get some understanding from these panelists on what their husbands or spouses or significant others are going through as well. So yes, it is open. And last year there were women that were there, and we invite everyone to come. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's important because I was fortunate to have my dad in my home, but you don't always need a dad in the home. It's always good to do that.
Yes.
But you need male father figures in your life.
Right.
And if this is an opportunity for a mom to introduce her son to some additional father figures, or just to get knowledge and information as they're on their maturation journey, to have more information about what a father is versus making a baby, then that's very important.
Well, we're talking to Dr. Griffin. Hey, Doc, about the Date with Dad, Strong Fathers, Strong Families, Strong City event that is happening Saturday, June the 7th. Registration is from 9:30 a.m. to 10 a.m., and the opening and panel discussions will be held from 10 a.m. to 1:30. This is taking place at the Grand Ballroom at Xavier University of Louisiana. Shout out to the Xavier Rights, 1 Drexel Drive, right here in the city of New Orleans. And if you need more information, the number is 504-482-2080, extension 2254. Again, that number is 504-482-2080, extension 2254. Thank you, Dr. Griffin, for joining us this morning. I appreciate you being here, and we're hoping that your second annual Date with Dads event is an extraordinary success. You should invite us.
No,
invite us right now.
You are invited. You are invited. Please come to this event.
Because you don't go nowhere where I ain't invited.
Okay, well, look.
That's not even necessarily true, Doc. Don't
the door is open. You can look. You can walk right across the campus and come on with us.
I appreciate you for being here. Look, we have to go to break, but when we come back, we'll jump into conversation as only Will and I know how right here, WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about.
All day long.
Thank y'all.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Another chance to see scattered showers and thunderstorms throughout the afternoon and evening. Some of these could turn strong to severe, with main impacts being damaging winds, hail, and heavy rain. Highs reach the mid to upper 80s, feeling like the mid-90s. Cold front passes through today, bringing lower humidity for the weekend. Highs Saturday in the mid-80s with sunshine. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Reshaw.
Hello, I'm Gary Clark. Please tune in to Dr. Clark 101, The Living Classroom, which is broadcasted weekly every Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. on WBOK 1230 a.m. on your dial. And as always, it's been a pleasure.
This summer, let your child's creativity shine at Camp Art, New Orleans' most vibrant, arts-driven camp experience for kids ages 4 to 12. Hosted by Beyond the Stage, Camp Art blends visual art, theater, music, dance, and creative writing with New Orleans history and culture. Plus, field trips, guest artists, and camper showcases. With full-day programming before and after care and sessions starting June 9th, it's the perfect fit for working parents. Fun, enriching, unforgettable. Register now at beyondthestagellc.com/campart and follow us on social media at Beyond the Stage LLC.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Good morning, Wake Up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
And we are back. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. Happy Friday, everyone. If you're just joining us, you missed the conversation with Dr. Griffin from DePaul Community Health Center talking about the second annual Date with Dad, Strong Fathers, Strong Families, Strong City event happening at Xavier University, 3rd floor, 1 Drexel Drive on Saturday, June 7, 2025. Registration starts at 9:30. There will be an opening and panel discussion that starts at 10 a.m. The panels will run through 1:30 p.m. They'll be talking about everything from paternal mental health to financial literacy. If you need more information, the number is 504-482-2080, extension 2254. That is Dr. Griffin with DePaul Community Health Center talking about their second annual Date with Dad, Strong Fathers, Strong Families, Strong City event happening
and
at
just
Xavier
a
University.
reminder, it is free.
Free is better than cheap. You know, we have to make certain that you know what it costs. But once again, y'all, we like to have big, robust conversations here. So we spoke to Dan about his challenge to the millage, and we promised you that we would get the Honorable Darren Lombard on the line to give us his perspective about what is happening around the millage. And we have him on the line right now. Because my question is, I want to know how we got the no's to yeses is what Dan is alleging, right? Okay. Good morning. How you doing? Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning. Good morning. How y'all doing?
Good to have you.
Thank you so much for making some time for us.
Yes. So I'm just going to set the table for you because the young man who challenged the recount of the millage is saying that there's some chain of custody issues. He's saying that once these the count was done and the document it was sealed up, it wasn't supposed to be reopened, but you reopened it, and somehow in the nose stack you found 2 yeses, which gave us back the 4-vote win for the millage. He's saying that somehow you turned 2 no's into 2 yeses.
Well, let's start out. First of all, that whole process is transparent. We have people in the room to make sure that all parties are represented and they can observe the process. There was no situation where there was a stack. Let me preface by saying this. I got to be very careful about what I say because that case is literally going before a judge this morning. So there was no case where there was votes switched from one stack to the other and all of these other things that this gentleman is alleging. So, he was there present, standing, watching everything, every minute of it. And if there was some kind of action that he disagreed with, he could have voiced it right then. He never did. As a matter of fact, he was in full agreement with everything. He said he understood what happened and that, he understands the process. We moved on from there.
So just back us up a little bit. The unofficial tally of the result of the millage renewal vote was what?
I cannot right now. I cannot because I just jumped up in.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so that was an official win by whatever the count was by 2 votes. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, and then there was a recount requested, and you fulfilled that official request with the proper parties involved, including somebody from the Louisiana Secretary of State's office, correct?
Yes.
And that's a part of the protocol. That's what's required.
The Register of Voters Office, the Secretary of State, and the Board of Election Supervisors.
Okay. And the party that make the challenge is
yes.
Okay.
Is available, yes.
Okay. All right. So then during that recount, was there a point where there was a tie vote in the count?
Clarify what you mean about high vote.
Tie. It's 100 to 100.
Tie vote. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. No, there was never a tie vote.
Okay.
The vote was corrected because there was 2 ballots that was inadvertently put in the stack with some documentation for payroll. So when that was discovered, we immediately called the AG's office, and AG's office directed us to reconvene as soon as possible, which was the next morning.
And that discovery was late afternoon or early evening after the recount, correct?
Yeah, it was literally probably maybe an hour after everything had commenced and all the parties had gone back to their respective offices. As soon as I was alerted, I called the Secretary of State's office and the AG's office, and at that point we were directed to reconvene.
Right, because you couldn't do that on your own. If there's going to be a count of any kind, you need the other parties involved. And that happened the next morning or afternoon, next day.
Yeah. Immediately we alerted all parties that were involved that we had an issue. We needed to reconvene first thing in the morning, get all the security in line and make sure all of that was taken care of, get everybody who was present at the meeting the day before, get them involved and notify them so they can have an opportunity to sit through the process.
And after that additional count, it was still a win, and it was a win by how many votes?
It did not change. It was still a win, and it was by 2 votes.
2 votes. Okay.
Yes.
Got you. Now, the chain of command issue that Mr. Dan Augusto is making a part of his challenge, at least verbally, was there any chain of custody issue that you know of or could even possibly see what he might mean by a chain of custody issue?
I do not see any area. I do not remember anything that was a chain of custody issue.
Well, just to be clear, Mr. Lombard, he's saying that something was sealed and then unsealed, which is why he's saying it shouldn't have happened. And once you unsealed it, that is when you found the 2 no votes that turned into yes votes. Am I accurate, Will, that he said that?
He said those votes were in the other vote tally, and they moved over. What you're
was
saying?
Sealed.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
That's what he said.
He said it was sealed.
Yeah, but what you're saying, they were not in another vote tally. They were in a different location. They had not been counted, right?
It was not the fact that they were in a different location. And he may be misstating exactly what, maybe he's misarticulating what he's trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
Once those votes, election night, those votes never leave the possession of the registrar of voters office.
Right.
They never leave it. So, and they seal them. And when we say seal, they're put into containers or envelopes that are closed and marked, right? So at no point is there any situation where they're just sitting around and nobody's, responsible for them or supervising how they're cared for. So when he says sealed, that's what I'm assuming that he means, that they were closed into a container or a envelope that is sealed and not open until everyone's available to witness it.
Got you. And he was
correct,
available.
He
was
available
process. To witness it.
Yeah, he definitely was. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, we reached out to him immediately that night. Once the AG said we need to reconvene the meeting was then reconvened, and everyone was alerted. Everyone that was present, everyone that was a party to the action was alerted, and all those people showed up the next morning.
What time is the court hearing today?
I believe it's for 9 or 9:30.
Okay, and what do we expect to happen? And is that Judge Shepard? Is that right?
No, Judge Shepard, I believe, was the duty judge that took the initial filing.
Okay.
Because it has a special process in these cases where, because it's very time sensitive, so they have to move on them really quick. It's not like a regular case.
Okay, do you happen to know the judge's name?
That is deciding on this case is Judge Jupiter.
Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And can you come back and give us an update in the aftermath of whatever happens in court today?
Absolutely.
Well, I appreciate you for availing yourself to us this morning. Thank you so much. The Honorable Darren Lombard, we want to thank him for joining us this morning. We appreciate you.
Thank you again for being available.
Appreciate you guys. Thank
Absolutely.
You. 7:59.
That's what you love about WBOK. You just put out the bat signal, and folk call in. We get them on the phone. We make certain that we could get both sides of the coin.
Because we want to know, and we know you want to know.
Yeah,
so let's get the answers.
Yeah, we want to know, because you see how he keeps saying 2.
Yeah.
But he's saying 4. So how we getting to 4? That was holding me up in my brain.
Yep.
But nevertheless, there's a court hearing this morning. It's going to be ruled on, and the Honorable Darren Lombard says he's going to come back and give us an update. And we welcome Dan back as well to give us his thoughts and feelings in the aftermath of the decision that is going to ultimately be made this morning. But we have to go to break. But when we come back, we're going to continue to talk about some things. There's some things brewing. Some things brewing.
Just a few.
Yeah. Some things brewing, and we're going to talk about it. But yes, all of our shows are recorded. All of our shows are available online. We also stream. It's also on YouTube. We're everywhere, y'all. We global. Y'all stay with us right here. WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about.
All day long.
WBOK New Orleans. Home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
New Schools for New Orleans is committed to celebrating the hardworking teachers of New Orleans. Thank you to all the educators who came out to the 4th annual NOLA Teacher Fest at Champion Square. We had over 2,000 attendees. Special thank you to our sponsors, Allstate Sugar Bowl, Entergy New Orleans, Raising Cane's, Align Ed New Orleans, Agenda for Children, and Oshner Children's for their commitment and support. Teachers and school leaders enjoy the summer break.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Florida Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz says conditions at Miami's Chrome Detention Center are incredibly disturbing.
They are there for 24 to 48 hours and are having to sleep, eat, and defecate and urinate in the same room.
During a surprise visit, she found over 1,100 migrants crammed into a facility built for 882. President Trump is in Pittsburgh today for his first rally since re-election, celebrating a new deal allowing Japan's Nippon Steel to invest in U.S. steel. The partnership keeps the company's headquarters in Pittsburgh and promises billions in upgrades across U.S. facilities. And mental health teams are on the ground in tornado areas of St. Louis, Missouri. Behavioral Health Response has deployed 40 clinicians to help residents cope with trauma, and residents can dial 988 for 24/7 support. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Show. Happy Friday, everyone. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. Shout out to our general manager holding down the boards for us, Justin Lewis. Hey, Justin.
Super producer.
And my co-pilot this morning is the Will Sutton. Hey, Will.
Hey, y'all. Good morning, New Orleans.
So listen, we're going to talk about the things that need to be talked about. And right now, there's a scandal brewing over in Ascension Parish related to the former, because we're going to say former, because when I looked it up, it says that this young lady is the former band director. She served for 50 years inside of the school system. She looks to have retired in 2023, and Melton Harvey took over as the band director of Dutchtown as of 2023. But you know that we've had a jailbreak here in the city of New Orleans where about 10 individuals escaped custody. There are 2 individuals still at large. But in the wake of the jailbreak, you know how folk jump on their social medias and they offer their 2 cents regarding the story, right? So the former band director, per the information that I'm looking at, her name is Sheily, if I'm saying that right, Sheily, last name Bell. She put a picture up of her page with her name and likeness and attached to it. And she said another N-word with the ER on the end, another N-word off the street. That is what she said when they apprehended one of the 10 young men who escaped Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office jail. And then the backlash started.
Now, when was this posted?
This was posted. Let me see. I don't see a date from the screenshot that I have.
Screenshot.
But it was during the time when the 3 individuals were captured. 2 were captured one place and one. So she posted about that, and she shared the Baton Rouge link. That said new details. One of the Orleans jail inmates was captured in Baton Rouge. That was the post.
Yeah.
She said another N-word is off the street. The backlash starts, right? Everybody's piling on, talking about it. They found out. They went to her social media page, found out her page still says she's the band director, which is why the assumption is that she's the current band director. And when the backlash came in, she immediately said, not when she posted it, not the hours and hours, it was 465 comments up before she said she was hacked. She was hacked. Well, there is a statement being attributed to the principal, Barry Whittington Jr., and the statement being attributed to him says, it has come to the attention of our school and our district administration that an employee of Dutchtown High School may be responsible for inappropriate remarks on social media. We want to ensure our Griffin community that we are investigating this matter thoroughly and we will take appropriate action. We are committed to fostering a safe, respectful, and ethical environment for our students, staff, and families, and we take any concerns regarding conduct seriously. Now, I'm saying it's attributed to him because, again, when I look up band director for Dutchtown, it says current band directors as of August 2023, Melton Harvey serves as the band director and Eva Martin as the assistant band director of the Sound of Dutchtown. It says previous band director is Shirley Bell. She served for many years and was recognized for 50 years of teaching in 2023. She also received the Outstanding Bandmaster of the Year award in 2022. And in November 2023, she was still the band director when the band won the Louisiana Showcase of Marching Band State Championship. So that doesn't jive with the statement from the,
it certainly doesn't.
From the principal.
So let's just say it is from the principal. Why would he say
exactly.
a employee, an employee,
that,
meaning current?
Yeah, that implies that.
I mean,
yes.
But he would know everybody who was an employee.
And on the break, when we take a break, I'm calling Dutchtown.
Okay.
Because I have questions, and I want to know if she's a current or former employee, if there is any substance to the statement, because she's saying she was hacked. And if she was hacked, we want to be able to provide that information. But someone, according to Ms. Bell, hacked her page and said another N-word with the ER is off the street.
And because this is connected to Dutchtown, it'd be really good for someone from the school to tell us from the official school vantage point what is or isn't connected to the school, whether this was or was not the principal's statement. What is the principal's statement?
Well, that's why I said it's alleged to be attributed to him. I want to know.
Absolutely. And Ms. Bell, if you're listening or you know Ms. Bell, give us a call.
Yeah.
Tell us what the heck's going on.
Because I want to know. Because here's the thing. If that is how you feel about a young man who escaped, because here's the thing, we want accountability. He was captured. He's going to a much more secure facility. But if that is the case, if you're responding to that, you were in a school system for 50 years. I'm certain you served children of all hues in your school. Is that how you feel? Is that the sentiment that you feel about black children, that you can call them the N-word with the ER at the end when they do something that is out of bounds in terms of what is legal or right to do? Is that how you respond? And then you did so on a public forum. And see, my thing with this whole idea of saying the quiet parts out loud, I feel like some folk are emboldened because of the sentiment and the tone and tenor of this country right now. We have elected officials. We have people in the highest positions of authority espousing those sorts of things on a daily basis out loud and on public platforms, right? We have our government alleging that people are gang members who are not gang members, and they're saying it with their whole chest. We have our government deporting United States citizens and going into the Senate saying they're not doing that. And so this makes me feel like it's a lot of that. Oh, I was hacked. You don't get to say things very boldly, and when the backlash comes, you can just say, oh, I was hacked. So I want to know if it's true. I want to know if this is her page. I want to know if you were hacked. When did you realize you were hacked? Because we were almost 500 comments deep before, and you only, the response to her being hacked was because somebody inboxed her. And the page that has her name and likeness responded and said, I was hacked. So that is her page. So I want to know. I want to know the answers. And I also want to hear from the principal or somebody affiliated with the school to tell me if this statement that's being attributed to the principal is an accurate statement. So if you have any of those answers to any of those questions,
Give us
the
a
number
ring.
here is 504-582-9422. So that's an interesting piece of information right there. I also will want to talk about, there have been some police-involved shootings in both parishes in our city, Orleans Parish and Jefferson Parish. And the Orleans Parish shooting happened after a brief standoff on Gallia Street in the St. Claude neighborhood. The suspect was arrested and taken to the hospital. No gunfire-related injuries were reported. They say NOPD says officers fired shots after a driver they were trying to arrest allegedly struck multiple police vehicles. They said the suspect was taken to the hospital, but it doesn't seem to me from this statement that he was injured by gunfire, nor were any officers injured by gunfire. It says the NOPD Public Integrity Bureau Force Investigation Team officers are investigating the use of force aspect of this incident. And that is, and we're going to juxtapose that against the shooting that happened in Jefferson Parish. Are you aware of that one, Will? So
Just heard about that one.
I definitely want to talk about this one. Because what I want to do is say that I'm thankful that the young woman who was involved in this incident, though she was shot, she's still alive. I want to say that I'm thankful that the officers who were involved, though a weapon, what appeared to be a weapon, was pointed at them, none of them were shot or injured in the line of duty. But the video that is out there on social media, 2 deputies, both fired multiple times. They don't know the exact round count, and that's according to the spokesperson, Jason Rivard. Ashton Chatelain was just yards away from the incident, recording the standoff on her cell phone. So that is the person responsible for the video that is out there. The person said they shop at the Dollar General at least once a while, and they are not sure what caused the incident. But something like this happening so close to home is scary, said the person who recorded it. I watched the video. Did you see it?
I did not. I'm going to have to see that.
So there's a truck, SUV of some type, and there's an individual in the driver's side. There are police cars surrounding the vehicle. The person gets out. She initially puts her hands up, but you can visibly see what appears to be a weapon. We now know in her hand. We now know that they're saying it was a modified air pistol, but you don't know that at the time of the incident, right? So she gets out of the vehicle. This is 62-year-old Paige Robin of Lafitte. She puts her hands up, one to each side of her body, up in the air, but she's holding what appears to be a weapon. She steps out into the purview of the police officers. She points the weapon at the police officers. The police officer then walks around the vehicle, like to walk out of the line of sight of the what appears to be a weapon. They don't fire on her at that point, but when he comes around the vehicle, then shots are fired. Now, what I will say is, and folk can say whatever they want, but many of our people have died for a lot less, unarmed, compliant, and have died, right? So I commend them for not killing her. So that always leads me back to protocol.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Because what's the protocol? Because you don't know that it's an air pistol. It looks like a gun, and she's pointing it. Her family says she does not need jail. She needs mental health services. And I would agree with that. Anybody that could point a gun at officers or what appears to be a gun at officers, they're not well. They're not well. But that brings us back to the larger conversation of protocol, right? I want to know what's the protocol. When do we shoot? You know, when is it appropriate to discharge your weapon? When do you feel like the danger is imminent?
Right.
When do you feel like you have no choice but to use deadly force? These are the kind of conversations that happen when things like this happen, because what it tells me is you have access to training. You know when to shoot and when not to shoot.
Right.
So how is it that you arbitrarily decide when to use deadly force or when to use your police training and your reason and your discretion to say this is a deadly force encounter, this is a life or death situation, and I have to put this person down?
Right.
These are the kind of conversations that come from this sort of thing. Because if you see this video, and I'm going to show it to you when we go on break, you're going to be asking yourself, wait, why didn't he shoot at that point? Because that's what I was asking. It was pointed directly at him.
Yeah.
Right? So I just want to know what's protocol.
Yeah. And, I'm glad you set it up that way.
Yeah.
Because there are too many circumstances where black folks, generally black men in particular, black boys, are shot and killed, and it's like so obvious that there was no reason at all. And at least
I think of Orlando Castile when we having these kind of conversations.
Absolutely. And then to have situations where it appears somebody in the heat of the moment made a decision not to shoot, not to have a fatal shooting. That says a lot about that person and perhaps the training and the understanding of protocol, which is what we want. We're not saying they shouldn't investigate.
Yeah.
We're not saying don't stop people who you have strong suspicion of whatever they had done or might have done or something like that.
We're
We
saying
understand.
the color of law should not be black or black versus white. The color of law, if it is protocol, this is what you do each and every time.
Yeah, because
that's what we're saying.
Right, because show me the police department, the agency that has in their protocol, when is a black suspect do this? Yeah. When is a white suspect do this?
And we also
have
to get away from the idea that when folk run from you, that it warrants a death sentence. Running from the police does not give you the right to use deadly force. If they're running away from you, there is no imminent threat to you. Mm-hmm. So we've seen a lot of black men get shot down in the street because they're running from police officers. Yeah. Right. And so for me, that is why I talk so much about what is the protocol? What is the standard operating procedure? We have to go to break because it's getting gooder and gooder. Okay. Oh, we have a phone call. Hey, Miss Pam. Good morning. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning, doctor. And yes, I just turned you guys on my phone. And I was trying to pick up things that you're talking about. And I'm going to stay with you guys and listen to you guys. But at the same time, did you see where the woman here in was it New Orleans or Algiers or Jefferson Parish got out of her vehicle with a gun aiming at the police, and they was like trying to run away from her, I guess, to get to where they could draw. But I said to myself, if I would have jumped out of my vehicle as a black woman with a gun raised, I would have been gone.
Well, listen, Miss Pam, you absolutely just turned your phone on because that's exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's right.
And we're going to continue to talk about it. So I hope you keep listening because we have to go to break. But when we come back, we're going to continue to have these sorts of conversations because that's the question, right? What is the protocol? I appreciate your call, Miss Pam. Have a blessed one.
You too.
Listen, we got to go to break, but when we come back, we're going to hear from Dr. Baham at Dillard University. She's the chair of the committee for the 19. This is a conversation Will is excited to have. Y'all stay with us right here. WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about
all day long.
Hey everybody, it's Graylin Bryant Banks
and Kimber White Dupree
from the Front Porch.
Some combos are too good to miss. Now you can pull up a chair to the Front Porch anytime.
Just search WBOK Media and subscribe to the Front Porch Podcast.
Download, share, and hit us with a 5-star rating because New Orleans culture deserves to be heard loud and clear.
It's Off the Top with Norman Robinson on WBOK 1230 AM.
I'm waiting with bated breath for someone to hold President Donald Trump accountable for the lies that he spreads on a daily basis. It's downright embarrassing. His lies are a discredit to the integrity of the Oval Office and the people of the United States. We were once considered a nation to be revered and respected, but thanks to our liar-in-chief, we are now perceived as a nation to be pitied and scorned. The most recent incident to garner international blowback was the meeting at the White House between Trump and the president of South Africa, where Trump held up a picture and played a video which he claimed were proof of genocide against white farmers in South Africa. Both displays have now been discredited. Trump claimed the picture showed white crosses that marked the graves where murdered white farmers had been buried. The truth is, there were no graves, and the white crosses had been planted along the roadside as part of a national protest by white and black South Africans admonishing leaders to do something about the overall murder rate in that country. And the video that Trump played of bodies being loaded in an ambulance was from Sudan, not South Africa. The attempt by Trump to tag the president of South Africa with genocide was, in my mind, a botched attempt to justify allowing 59 white South African refugees to relocate to America while at the same time denying refugee status to people from black and brown countries. Let's be clear. There is no genocide happening in South Africa. Multiple international organizations, including the United Nations and Human Rights Watch, have found no evidence to support such an allegation. South Africa does face serious challenges, violent crime, land inequality, and political corruption among them, but those are systemic and affect citizens across racial lines. Trump's language isn't just inaccurate, he's dangerous. He borrows directly from white nationalist talking points, portraying white South Africans as uniquely persecuted, while at the same time ignoring the deep scars left by apartheid and the ongoing socio-economic struggles of the black South Africans. This isn't basic misinformation, folk. These are lies deliberately meant to skew perceptions, to actively undermine diplomacy, and to feed global extremism. Politicians often boast and exaggerate selectively, choosing facts to make their points, but telling bold-faced lies to fan flames of fiction is disgustingly outrageous. This is Norman Robinson, Off the Top.
NOLA Public Schools is excited for the rest of this 24-25 school year journey with our families, watching our students dive into learning, growth, and success. As the school year continues, our dedicated educators are focused on keeping every student engaged and motivated. Let's keep embracing new challenges, celebrating achievements, and supporting each other to make the rest of this year even more impactful. Stay connected with your school and NOLA PS through our social media channels for updates and resources. We're here to help our scholars attend today, achieve tomorrow.
Are you now, or ever wanted to, be in the biz? The NAACP Hollywood Bureau is proud to present Be in the Biz, a one-day symposium designed to share valuable information and access to some of the entertainment industry's top power brokers, writers, directors, producers, and storytellers from all forms of media. We'll learn about pitching techniques, adapting scripts to screen, collaboration between creatives and other media executives, and all the behind-the-scenes roles for creative professionals. Be in the Biz is coming to New Orleans on Saturday, May 31st at Studio B. For more information and to register, visit @Hollywood Bureau on Instagram.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
And we are back. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. Happy Friday, everyone. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. Shout out to the man behind the glass, our GM, Justin Lewis. Hey, Justin. And my co-pilot this morning is Will Sutton. Hey, Will.
Good morning, New Orleans.
Right now, we're getting ready to jump into conversation about honoring the 19. We have in studio with us Dr. Baham from Dillard University. She serves as the chair of the committee for the 19. Dr. Jana Smith, a professor at Dillard, and Dr. Freddie Evans, the independent scholar. Good morning, ladies. How y'all doing?
Great. Good morning.
Good morning. Y'all so pretty, beautiful.
Thank you.
Isn't
Thank
that
you.
something? That's all you got to do to lift the nervousness off of people. Tell them how cute they are. How y'all doing this morning? And so this is a conversation that Will has been dying to have with y'all. So we want to just let the folk know, well, who is the 19? What is the 19 for our listening audience?
Yes, this is Eva Bayham. The 19 are individuals who were removed from New Orleans in between 1872 and 1886. We're not exactly sure when they were removed. To be frank, they were decapitated after they died. They died from various illnesses. It doesn't suggest that anybody did anything untoward to kill them. There are lots of data that shows what they died from. But then they were sent from New Orleans by a Dr. Smith to another Dr. Smith in Germany. And there they were involved in Germany at the University of Leipzig. The point of that was to have them have their skulls, their crania, researched in a pseudoscience called phrenology. So phrenology, and it is a pseudoscience, suggested that you could tell from a person's skull, the dead skull, if they were intelligent. You can tell something about their intellect, which means that they're really looking for inferiority. You could tell a person's personality. You can tell their character. All of these things that you can tell just by examining the skull. So this was done to these 19 individuals who died here in 1871, December 1871, and January 1872. Two of them we found in the record from 1872. And their bodies were buried somewhere on what could have been the periphery of the city at the time. And then the rest of them their skulls were sent to this university. This is the sort of eugenics that we know is terrible, to determine inferiority with some people. But I do want to say that what we have learned from working very closely with the professor and medical doctor there and his associate, that there are also 300 more cases that individuals were taken from around the world, mostly Africa, Asia, perhaps the Pacific Rim. They told us that indigenous people from New Zealand, when notified, went to Germany and got there and retrieved the remains of their individuals. So this was a global type thing by some to determine inferiority and to determine some other things about people. That's what makes it so egregious and horrible. And I need to tell you, too, that during the last year, that the three of us with another group with a full committee of people sometimes had to stop and just step back from this because of the horror of it.
And so the bodies were here.
Bodies are here.
The skulls were sent to Germany. And if I'm positing this incorrectly, let me know. But it seems that this was done specifically to use what remained of these folks' skulls to prove that they were inferior.
Yes.
And that they were perhaps less than human, but not really in a more traditional research context of let's see what we find. They started from a place of we know this is true, let us prove it.
Right. So that was done as well to indigenous people here. Since we have been involved in this, we received information, and I think this was published maybe in the New Orleans paper last fall, that the remains of indigenous people here in the United States were returned. So that would be Native American people. So you could see with looking at this across the globe that this was exactly what you're saying, was this came with an established view. But of course it was quote unquote science, but more accurately what we're saying, pseudoscience, to say that, okay, we have a hypothesis and then we are going to do the research and then we come to a conclusion. When in looking back, the conclusion was already drawn. Otherwise, we would ask, why were they just looking at certain groups of people? Now, this may also include Eastern Europeans because, of course, through history, Eastern Europeans were considered much more inferior than much more inferior than people in Western Europe. So, Slavic people, for example. So I'm saying that this happened around the world. So there are 600 more cases, we were told.
How did you guys go about identifying the 19, since 2 of them are still yet identified?
So they're unidentified. We did not have to do anything in terms of identifying people because the record is there. And I think that what we all know, as all of us are in some way or another historians, and we're looking into this kind of research, that at the time, all of this was considered not only legal, but just and morally right, that this kind of thing. So lots of records. It's the same thing when we do research in the antebellum period or in slavery, because these people were in their rights to do this because they thought they were morally right, but also they had the legal status. So there are lots of records. We have letters, information from that period to say this is what we have. And characterizing people as in the records that we have from the Germans there, and also from the German doctor who was here. He came from Germany to Pennsylvania and then to New Orleans, and became, quote unquote, a doctor here and a specialist in this kind of thing. So his record shows that characterizing people and identifying them, the record shows that Negro, black, sturdy built, finely crisp hair is the one that gets me. And I'm assuming finely crisp hair.
Finely
crisp hair. Or mulatto, or light mulatto.
Okay. All right.
Or light mulatto or dark mulatto. I mean, mulatto is a derogatory term for us today, so we don't refer to people in that way. Or there were women, and that talked about their bill. So they looked at this Dr. Smith examined a fully intact human being and described them in great detail.
So how did you first learn about the 19? Who made the contact? I'm assuming it wasn't just you're just sitting around and somebody said, "Here's a skull we know about." I mean, what
2 years ago, May 2023, that the professor and medical doctor Martin Garicka, who is at University of Leipzig, contacted Michael Kaczynski here, who is the city archaeologist here in New Orleans, and to say, look, we have this, we have all this, we know who it is, we have all this information, and we would like to have them repatriated, which means to go back to your country. And so he, in turn, contacted Dr. Ryan Seidemann and Christine Hollins, Dr. Ryan Gray, all of whom are anthropologists, and said, this is what we have here, we need to do something. So the city of New Orleans then became supportive of trying to get them back. So a year ago, Dr. Ryan Gray contacted me and then we formed with Dr. Smith, Dr. Freddie Evans, and Mr. Fred Johnson, Mr. Leon Waters, Dr. Clyde Robinson. We came together to form a committee, and our charge was specific to get them back home. So
and we don't have time, but for those who may not be familiar, each and every one of those names are people of some significance and expertise in and of on their own.
That's right.
And for them to be gathered as a committee is very impressive for a project like this. Dr. Freddie, what was most surprising to you in this process, and because of some of the work that you've done? What do you see as the historical significance of this particular work?
Good morning. There are so many points that are significant to me, but one is to see how they all transpired within a certain period of time. So we're saying December 5th through January 10th. So it was very intentional, it was very purposeful. And we also see that these were the least or the most vulnerable. These were people, some who had been here only 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, yet 1 hour. So how could you trace back then where if people were to look for them, if their loved ones were to go looking for them? Also, only a few of them, I think only 3 were lifetime residents of New Orleans. Some of, I think 2 more were born in Louisiana, but then the majority were outside of the state, had been born outside of the state, and had been here again for very lengths of time. So you think about whether they were victims of the domestic slave trade or whether they had come after emancipation looking for loved ones or looking for job opportunities. All of those things go into play, and it just makes you think of how they fit into the overall history of the state as well as the country.
Good morning, John. You're on with the folk from the 19. You have Dr. Jonna Smith, a professor at Dillard, Dr. Freddie Evans, an independent scholar, and Dr. Bayham, who is the chair of the committee. John, we lost him. John normally has some wonderful things to say too, but
yeah, okay, all right. So, Dr. Bell, what did you find most?
Smith.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Dr. Smith. What did you find most surprising as a researcher through this process? So this is brought to your attention. You've got this committee, and is there something that you didn't think that you would see as a part of this, and what was surprising to you?
I don't think it was surprising to me because of I've seen documentaries on this. What was really captivating for me is to be a part of this research and how we gathered together as a cultural barrier committee and all of our different expertise in bringing the research to fruition for the memorial service. And what we are bringing to this research that we're bringing to New Orleans and to the university. What I'm excited about in doing this research is that incorporating it into my urban studies public policy class, right? So people can understand the importance of what is repatriation, because a lot of our students are not exposed, well, some of our students are not exposed to the process that we have organized, and how do you organize, and how do you bring people together to work on different aspects of this repatriation. There are some people who in St. Helens Islands, there's one lady who's working on a project herself of finding skulls there of slaves, and trying to bring dignity, as we are bringing dignity and decency and order to these 19 individuals. And that's the part of the research that I am excited about exposing my students to in my course.
Well, that's
so
wonderful
one of
to
our
hear that
callers,
that's going to go into the classroom.
Yes.
One of our callers wants to know if there was any DNA taken, DNA samples taken from the 19.
We discussed that here, whether we would do DNA, and had a very serious discussion about it. We've decided in our setting not to do that. One of the anthropologists said to us that these 139-year-old crania might be more vulnerable to cracking and breaking. And so we thought about it, and we said, in the light of all of the horrible things that have happened to them, that we didn't want to have more damage to them. So we decided not to. However, we have, working with Professor Shalene Jones from Xavier, who is an artist who crafted, designed, and is crafting wooden containers for them that can be reopened. They will be sealed, and then they will be placed through the Rhodes Funeral Home has also has I think she's calling a casket, and they call it a sealer. So they will be placed in that, and that could be reopened. But of course, that would have to go through the laws and processes of exhuming. That would be a tantamount to exhuming.
There's an event tomorrow at 9 o'clock, but I know we have a caller on the line, correct?
Yeah.
Good morning, Don. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning to the good doctors. They're very important work. My question is, if it's a legitimate question, I hope so, doesn't disturb what you're doing. How does the treatment of Mother Sister Henrietta Lacks, the medical gene that they use to make medicine and uncompensate her and her family and not make her aware of what they was doing, how does that tie into the issue of this damage that has been caused by this medical research, if you will, eugenics? How does that all tie together? Not tie together in the form of one nice bow, but how does it all has its own merits, but yet it correlates with each other?
Yeah, there is a correlation, because this is one more example of how bodies, particularly the bodies of the marginalized and the most vulnerable, as Ms. Evans just said, have been used. People who don't have any agency over themselves. There's no self-determination. And that their bodies have been used to do all sorts of things. I'm often reminded of the scholar Dr. Deidre Cooper Owens, who did the study and exposed the so-called father of gynecology, I think his last name is Sims, and how he became the father of gynecology by doing all of his testing on enslaved women without anesthesia, invading their bodies. So there are people doing all of this long before Henrietta Lacks, but hers is the most storied example of this. And here we have some more examples of people, bodies. If you want to be blunt, the black bodies in this case, but I don't want to say that they're the only ones. But so yes, all of this comes together in the sense that you have the most vulnerable people who had no agency over themselves in enslavement and in freedom, and others who could use their bodies to do that. And so that's why tomorrow we are hoping that the city turns out to come and be the families of these people and to help us to restore dignity when it was taken from them. And so we'll have a viewing. We will not see any cranium. They will be encased in what we're called funeral vessels. But the artwork on the vessels, it hopefully, not hopefully, it is, we entrust Professor Jones, will be amazing. She will use, I think it's called Adinkra symbol on each of them. They will have their names, their approximate ages that we have, their date of death. And that will be in the Dillard Chapel, the Lawless Chapel. You can come from 9 o'clock until about 10:30, close to 11, and view them. And then Dr. Evans here can tell you about what's going on next, because it's under her leadership that she organized
At 11.
At 11, yeah.
Good morning again. I'm Freddie Evans. First of all, I need to
Right.
correct the records for that, not doctor. So we have planned a very, we think, moving ceremony and traditional jazz funeral that would take place beginning actually at 10:30 before the service begins. The Black Men of Labor Associated and Pleasure Club, along with Dr. Michael White and the Original Liberty Jazz Band, will begin a funeral procession 1 block away from the chapel. And they will walk slowly in the dirge format to the chapel door. Once they arrive at the chapel door, the Congo Square drummers will begin, and they will take the processional into the chapel. We have students from all universities in the city representing and participating as pallbearers. We also have community groups like ASALA, the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, as ushers, and the Congo Square Preservation Society as ushers. So we tried to really reach out and include the community at large in this. Also participating would be Kumbuka African Drum and Dance Collective. They would present Ajaja at the conclusion of the service. In addition, we have faith leaders from across the city representing various denominations or belief systems. So we have at least 9 represented who will share words of faith on the program.
That's wonderful.
Well, we also have Dr. Michael White that will be playing a solo piece that he wrote purposely for this program, yes, for this memorial service as well. And Eric Waters, who is our photographer, that will be.
We want to thank Dr. Bingham from Dillard University. She serves as the chair of the committee for the 19. Dr. Jana Smith, professor at Dillard, and Freddie Evans, independent scholar, talking about honoring the 19, Saturday, May 31st, 2025. There will be a viewing at 9 a.m. The service will commence at 11 a.m. It is happening at the Lawless Memorial Chapel at Dillard University, 2601 Gentilly Boulevard, New Orleans, Louisiana, 70122.
So we also have the mayor, who is slated. She's been very supportive. The Dillard University president, who has been outstanding in her support, offering all kinds of support to this. But our funder is the University Medical Center. We made a proposal to them and asked them if they could support this financially. They, under the Vice President of Business Development, Ms. Charlotte Parent, brought in their people and their CEO and said, yes, we will fund this. And they have been very good, excellent, I should say, about making sure that we can fund the program tomorrow. So it's because of their financial funding as well as the support at Dillard University. So we want to say that because Ms. Parent made a point to say to us, we are not going to ignore history. We want to know that we can't right the wrongs of the past, but we can bring dignity to these people, and we can ask the city to come together to be supportive. So we hope to see as many people as possible.
Well, thanks so much.
We thank you for being here. It's Adam Grant, Isaac Bell, Hiram Smith, William Pearson, Henry Williams, John Brown, Hiram Malone, William Roberts, Alice Brown, Priscilla Hatchett, Marie Lewis, Mahala, Samuel Prince, John Tolman, Henry Allen, Moses Willis, and Henry Anderson. Say their names. Saturday, May 31st, 2025. The viewing will start at 9 a.m. We're honoring the 19 at Dillard University, Lawless Memorial Chapel, 2601 Gentilly Boulevard. We're asking you to be there. Thank you, ladies, for being here so much. We'll have to go to break here, a word from our sponsors, but we'll be right back. WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about.
All day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Another chance to see scattered showers and thunderstorms throughout the afternoon and evening. Some of these could turn strong to severe, with main impacts being damaging winds, hail, and heavy rain. Highs reach the mid to upper 80s, feeling like the mid-90s. Cold front passes through today, bringing lower humidity for the weekend. Highs Saturday in the mid-80s with sunshine. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Hi, this is Cary Grant. Let's elevate every Tuesday through Thursday from 6 to 7 p.m. as we discuss the community, the country, and the world, from politics to current events and sports. We look forward to your input and continuing the quality programming on your community station, WBOK. Join us every Tuesday through Thursday, 6 to 7 p.m. on Elevated Conversations, the Arnie and Cary Show.
Do you know what United Way can do for you and your community? Find out by listening to United Way and You every Thursday at noon on WBOK 1230. United Way continues to fight for the most vulnerable members of the community. Find out how this Thursday and every Thursday at noon.
Welcome to Liberty Bank and Trust, where your financial journey transforms communities. Since 1972, our customized banking solutions power your dreams and fuel your community growth. Every dollar you invest with us circles back to empower more people, ensuring opportunities for generations. Join us at Liberty Bank. Together, we empower possibility. Visit libertybank.net to start banking with purpose. Liberty Bank, there's freedom here.
Your life and your loved ones' lives depends on what you've done to prepare. Disasters, shortages, supply chain failures, they're not ifs, they're wins. Don't be left without life-saving medication. The Jace case is a prescribed set of emergency antibiotics, life-saving medications you have on hand before you need them, offering peace of mind, no panicking, fast, affordable, and could save your life. Go to JASE.com. Use code RADIO for a discount, because once the shelves are empty, it's already too late.
Hey, everybody, it's Kimber White Dupree.
And it's Graylin Bryant Banks from the front porch. We're coming up next.
Good morning, Wake Up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Good morning show. Happy Friday, everybody. I'm your host, Dr. Ashanta Wise. Shout out to my co-pilot, Will Sutton. Hey, Will.
Good morning.
We had a dynamic conversation with the doctors from Dillard University honoring the 19. It is happening May 31st at 9 a.m. at Dillard University. They're asking you to be there if you can. But right now, we're getting ready to jump into conversation with Troy Sawyer talking about girls play trumpets too. How you doing, Troy?
I'm doing awesome. How you?
I'm great. I'm great. So this is an initiative that you're pushing. Talk to us about that. Girls play trumpets too.
Well, Girls Play Trumpets 2 was started about 2.5 years ago. Mm-hmm. Basically talking about my journey. My journey of playing the trumpet, growing up in the city. I didn't see any professional female trumpet players until I saw one. And she came all the way to New Orleans from Canada. And she was playing at Dillard University, and she blew my mind away. So that day was the day that knocked down the walls of gender bias within me. And when I started playing music professionally, I would meet professional female trumpet players from all over the world, but they were not from New Orleans. So when I got into teaching in the school system music, it was natural for me to inspire girls to play the trumpet. And I decided to start this organization called Girls Play Trumpets to empower girls ages 8 to 19 to play the trumpet on a professional level or novice level, to increase equal representation in the male-dominated music industry.
Come on now. And how long have you been doing this so far?
2.5 years. So we went from 8 girls to impacting almost 100 girls.
So you're doing it big now. So are you in schools? Like, do you visit
Yeah,
schools?
we have partnerships. We have a partnership with Inspire NOLA, with McGee. We have Girls Play Trumpets 2 in Donaldsonville at the River Road African American Museum. And I'm going to Belize next week after Girls Play Trumpets 2 spring concert, which is at the Ellis Marcellus Center next Saturday. But I'm going to Belize to start Girls Play Trumpets 2 in Belize.
I think it's starting to catch on in different facets of everything, because at one time, even drum majoring was male dominated.
Right.
We're starting to see more girls as drum majors. The drum line was male dominated. We're starting to see more girls playing the drum. So maybe there's something there, like I told you in the whole. We can do everything y'all can do just better.
But one thing,
that's how I feel. I'm just joking.
But like I said, you and your crew make me a better man.
I like a black man that know what to say and when to say it, babe. You did
it's
that
the truth.
one.
The truth is the light.
I'm with you when you're right. Listen, I'm with you when you're right.
But one thing in New Orleans, you see a lot of girls playing the trumpet, but they haven't seen themselves playing it professionally. So Girls Play Trumpets 2 is a movement that is global, and more girls and young women from New Orleans is going to represent on that level playing the trumpet. The trumpet is a male-dominated music instrument, but it represents leadership, and it represents power and strength. And so when you see these young ladies on the stage, you could feel that confidence, you could feel the leadership, and they love playing the trumpet.
But and I also, I'm sorry, go ahead.
When is that spring concert?
So the spring concert is next Saturday, June 7th from 3 to 5 p.m. And you can go to Girls Play Trumpets 2, TOO.org to find out more information.
Where's it happening?
At the Ellis Marcellus Center for Music.
Ellis Marcellus. Right. And also, too, when you think about being able to do something that you love and make money doing it.
Yes.
That's also the thing, too, because it doesn't really feel like work. So if they already enjoy music, they already enjoy playing the trumpet, they're mastering how to play it, and then you could pay me to do it, too. That's a win-win.
Right.
Win-win-win, right?
Yeah, because I remember my first paid gig was at the Zulu Club when I was 13, 14 years old. And it was right after I went to St. Augustine High School. So after.
Lord. See, you had me up until that point.
Ding, ding, ding.
73.
Yeah.
Purple. 2600.
2600. Now to just start itching.
But I'm a well-rounded purple knight. I'm a well-rounded purple knight. I'm from uptown.
Look. Come on, I like what you did there. I mean, it's 2600 everywhere. I cannot.
Yes, you're right about that.
But no, I appreciate the work that you're doing to involve our young girls into a field that was mostly and still is in most parts male dominated. I love the fact that girls can see themselves in any space that makes space for them.
Right.
So thank you for making space for these girls and letting them know that they too can be professional trumpet players. Because when we say professional, that means run me my coin. Right?
Exactly. That's what we're teaching in the music business, and we got a partnership with Chase Bank where they came through to talk about financial literacy.
Yes.
So, the one thing in New Orleans, we are born with this talent.
Yeah.
But the business is not down here.
Yeah.
So, especially our elder musicians, they had to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
And I learned from them.
There's still some of that taking advantage of the
Yes,
culture
of
that's
course.
happening because a lot of our culture bearers aren't financially savvy enough to understand what their worth is, first of all.
You're right about that.
You are the prize, right? They're coming to see you.
Exactly.
So you set your price. And if they want it, they're going to pay for it.
You're right about that.
But a lot of them are starving artists, and they're afraid to turn down a gig because it feels like they're turning down an opportunity to make money. But what you're really doing is turning down an opportunity not to be used by a system that understands your value. They just know that they could underpay you and get away with it. So I think this whole idea of teaching our youth how to first play the instruments and then how to also understand their value and their work so they can set the price so that they can get what they're worth and value, right? And so to me, that's most important. So tell us once again when this event is happening and where it's happening at.
So it's going to happen. And you sound like my manager. I think you need to join the team.
You think? Don't threaten me with opportunity now.
But it's going to be at the Ellis Marcellus Center for Music, June 7th, Saturday from 3 to 5 p.m.
Well, we want to thank Troy Sawyer for being here with us. I know y'all can see my album. Don't be jealous.
Yes.
He's here to talk about Girls Play Trumpets. So you want to say something about that?
Yeah, so this is my debut album called Rock Your Soul, and the vinyl release event is tomorrow at Peaches Records. And I'm performing too, and we'll have some Girls Play Trumpets 2 members there. Also, we have a special announcement.
And what time is that happening?
This is happening tomorrow from 12:30 12:30 to 2:30.
12:30 at Peaches.
At Peaches Records.
Okay.
On Magazine Street.
Talk about culture.
Oh,
Peaches
yes.
Records.
Peaches Records.
Well, thank you for coming here. I know
Okay.
you're busy. You're going all over talking to all of the big media, but I'm glad you made some time for this little black radio station here at WBOK. We appreciate you here too.
Oh, this is
Troy.
family. This is community. I always come back to
We
my
already know your
community.
family. You're 2600.
right.
You already told us.
From Uptown.
Let's be clear. We want to thank Troy Sawyer for joining us, and I appreciate our general manager for allowing us to go into the front porch. But y'all stay tuned up next for the front porch with Grilling the Kimbers. For us, the Good Morning Show, Dr. White and Will Sutton. We're going to see y'all next week. This is WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about
all day long.